Good morning. My name is Alberto Candiani, Global Manager, owner of Candiani Denim. Now, quickly, let's see what is Candiani, who we are. So, first of all, where we are. We're located in Italy, of course, not far from Milano, nearby the airport of Malpensa. So if you end up landing in Malpensa, if you look on the right side of the plane, you normally see our mill. Between Milan and the Alps, but most of all, we are located in a nature reserve. And being located in a nature reserve is what has driven us to become a very, very efficient mill, even before becoming a very green mill. And then we found out that it was pretty much the same thing, or at least we were going in the right direction. The Parco del Ticino was founded about 50 years ago, and we were there already because it's my family-owned business. I'm the fourth generation, and again, the mill wasn't there. So at some point, they tell us, all right, guys, you run large textile operations in a nature reserve, and now the restrictions are becoming a bit tighter and tighter and tighter, so we had to invest a fortune in order to become more and more efficient, and efficiency was the only way to competitivity because the rest of the world didn't really have to face the same conditions and the same restrictions we had to face. So, my great-grandfather that you see in this picture, he started the company in 1938 in the little town of Robechetto. He was only weaving workwear fabrics. And then it was my grandfather Primo, the one in the center of the picture, who started denim in the late 60s. So we went from workwear fabrics to denim gradually. He was the one sensing that the market was changing, and at some point, workwear fabrics were going to be woven somewhere else in the world. So he had the first understanding of globality, which was really, really interesting. And then my father, who's not in this picture, came on board, and he was probably the one redefining stretch denim and probably creating premium stretch denim. That happened in the 90s. That made us double our capacity around the early 2000s. So now we count roughly 620 workers, and we produce more or less 22 million meters of denim a year. 22 million meters a year translated into single units or garments. We're looking at 16 million pair of jeans are made with Candiani fabrics in the world. And we represent a very tiny share of the global market because it's now estimated to produce over 3.5 billion meters. We just celebrated our 80th anniversary last year, so we celebrated our 80th anniversary with a very interesting purpose. The idea, and that's what won the actual prize, the idea was to create or recreate a very premium signature fabric with regenerated and recycled materials. So that was the challenge, and the challenge was to make it beautiful because, as you know, most of the time when you work with recycled stuff, the end product doesn't look as great, or at least doesn't, it's not very appealing. So it's great to bring sustainability on the table, but it's also very key to keep the aesthetics in consideration and the beauty of the product you make. So the ReGen fabric, which means regenerated, which means also regeneration and the fourth generation of the family, that was the idea that we came up with to celebrate our 80th anniversary, but we'll get into that in a second. So now, our values and pillars. So made in Italy, first of all. We've been there since 1938, never went anywhere else. We were never seeking another opportunity. We do what we do where we know how to do it, and the know-how is key. Without our people, without our workers, we couldn't really make the same product we make. So it's not even thinkable to go and replicate it somewhere else in the globe. There would be a whole different sort of intention, which we are not even considering. Sustainability. I mentioned earlier, it was probably called efficiency, all of a sudden we understood we were probably the most sustainable denim mill in the world just because we had to face those restrictions I was talking about. And trust me, we are in an area, plenty of water, rivers, the mountains are right there. Water was never really a problem in terms of source, but the nature reserve made us think differently about the water itself. So it's like, it's not just the amount of water you use, it's the kind of water you discharge. And that was something that changed completely our way of dyeing and finishing the fabrics, because the water we discharge in Robecchetto con Induno, in the Parco del Ticino, is to be Class A. It's pretty much civil water. It's literally what you guys discharge from your own apartments or houses. So it goes through multiple treatments, and of course we had to invest into those treatments, but most of all we had to invest in the technologies that they allow us not to waste water and to purify the water, to minimize the consumption and to purify the water before it exits the mill. And of course it's our intention, and it relates mostly to efficiency, it's always our intention and commitment to recycle the water or the clean waters we use. Innovation. Now, well, we just won an award called Sustainable Innovation, and quite frankly, sustainability and innovation are merging more and more. Sometimes I come up with a more visual example about the automotive. All the good automotive companies, they normally come out with a new model which is performing better than the previous one, and it's consuming less than the previous one. So that is a little bit the direction we take when we approach our R&D, and of course R&D innovation, it is what we invest the most in, and which is why it's a lot of fun to come to ITMA to look at all these innovations, because a meter of Candiani denim normally cost around €5. And the market today, when it comes to denim of kind of comparable fabrics to what we do, it is about $2.35 per meter. And so it tells you we cost more than the double, so at some point we have to show what we do, and we have to visualize what we do besides appreciating the product quality and the aesthetics and the touch and the feel and the heritage. We really have to talk about the contents, because we make denim in a very, very different way. Innovation is also what led us to work with sustainable materials, recycled materials, regenerated, with a very specific vision. And again, the vision was, it's not just enough to make this cool because it's green, we have to make it beautiful because it has to compete with the other products we make. And we ended up creating a fabric which, in my personal opinion, is even nicer than the fabrics which gave us the original ways we produced that one. So it has been a very, very strong success. Again, the pillars, well, territory, I think I've been telling enough about who we are and where we are. The ingredients and the technology, we will see in a second when we talk about the ReGen fabric specifically. Ingredients and technology, and that's also the reason why we're here at ITMA. Those two elements are the most important part of our research and development. And then the design center, which is, again, I was talking about the aesthetics, I was talking about the appeal of the pair of jeans that you end up creating with our fabrics. Well, we have a design center that, even if our job is to make fabrics, then we keep going with the sort of consultancy for our customer in terms of research. Again, the research doesn't really end with the creation or the engineering of the fabric itself. Then we make garments. Of course, when we present our fabrics to our customers, we have to present them in garment form, otherwise they wouldn't really understand what the potential of the fabric is. So we have a design center where we engineer the most sustainable treatments to be done on the jeans created with our fabrics. And that is a very different approach that the industry is kind of following now. But again, you have to consider that all the fabrics we engineer today are engineered accordingly to the latest sustainable technologies you can apply once the pair of jeans has been cut and sewn. Again, Very simple principles, reuse, reduce, and recycle. At any stage, at any level, this is a very usual circular view of what we do, and this model is, it's probably a little abused right now, but for circularity, we really mean efficiency. So, and circularity was pretty much the base of an efficient production plan in textiles especially. So again, it's just a very simple representation that tells you our key is to reuse whatever you can reuse, whatever can be reused, starting with the fibers. Reduce, and for reduce, I'd like to spend one more minute here. Reduction is, again, very much based on the efficiency concept. You try to minimize whatever it takes to make a meter of fabric. So you start with the fibers, and of course it depends on the weight and the construction of the fabric you want to make. But you look at the fabric from the very beginning, you look at the engineering of the fabric from the very beginning with, okay, how do I make it as beautiful or even more beautiful using less fiber, less water, less chemicals? And that represents a major saving, which we really have to count on at the end of the year, because I told you we cost roughly the double of what of the market price. So that is very, very important. And in our case, reduction also included production. After the crisis, 2008, 2010, we used to produce 26.5 millimeters. I told you we now produce 22.5, so we lost 4 millimeters. And how do you do, how you manage? We didn't shrink much our production, we just reinvented, we rethought our production, we didn't fire people. We just said, okay, let's see, if you normally go, this is a very Italian thing, but we say if you do things in a slower way, normally they come out better. So we also re-engineered a little bit the production plan, and we specialize on different kind of products where we keep actually where we gain value on what we're doing. So we learn how to reduce production to make a better product. So when we say less is more, I always add, yeah, less is more if less is also better, because if you just do less, I'm afraid that the capitalistic approach of the textile industry leads you in a very, very dark place. Recycle, okay, recycle was the initial purpose. Recycle became a terrible cool thing to do in the last 10 years. Everyone was recycling everything. And at the end product made with recycled materials was pretty poor. We couldn't afford that. The challenge was, okay, for our 80th anniversary, we want to create something which is beautiful and made with recycled products. So we were talking about ingredients and technology, and there we go. The reason why this ReGen fabric came out very interesting is that our research led us to talk to Lenzing, which has been a very, very important partner in the development of this fabric. And they came up with a different kind of lyocell, which is called, the technology is called refibra. So this is also regenerated lyocell. And that fiber, which was probably initially thought as a fiber, just like lyocell, that can give you a nice touch and feel it's soft, and it's complementary to cotton to achieve a smoother kind of fabric. Well, I saw a different opportunity. I said, well, that fiber is long, it's strong, and it does have all those physicals and characteristics that finally, if I blend it with my waste, well, maybe we can create new yarns. So we tried, and we ended up going 50-50, so 50% post-industrial waste and 50% refibra, and the yarns were just perfect. Resistant, even the character was beautiful. And of course, we developed this with an external partner from Biella. They became, in the Biella area, which is west of where we are, like 45 minutes drive, they're becoming true specialists of recycling pretty much anything. So even there, the territory and the district really made a difference. So we came up And then we also engineered other kind of yarns, which we spin internally. I didn't mention we're fully vertical. We go from the cotton to the final fabric. So spinning, dyeing, weaving, finishing, and the fabric. So yeah, we came up with these beautiful yarns, which were very, very complementary with a specific dyeing technology which we developed in-house called indigo juice. We apply indigo, minimizing the consumption of hydrosulfides. So we're trying to work more and more with less water, and as I said earlier, we are also trying to make the water we discharge the cleanest possible, and that also happens because of the application of another technology which we licensed exclusively in the world of denim, which is called Ketotex. Ketotex was originally patented by another Italian company, not far from us. Again, the territory is key. We're really becoming like a very interesting green pole. I mean, I'm talking about Italy in general, but especially where we are, it's like a really green pole of development, of research and development. And Ketotex is just the application of ketosane, which is a natural polymer that covers the yarns, that films the yarns at the end of the dyeing process. And it is replacing PVA, it is replacing fixation agents, it's replacing conventional starch and other chemicals that altogether are kind of nasty. And those chemicals altogether, when you analyze the water you discharge, yes, you find microplastics in there. So we were talking about microplastics earlier. Yeah, denim creates tons of microplastics, and they invade the waters. So together with Ketotex, not only you do not generate microplastics, but you help purifying the water itself. So part of it is even reusable, and what you discharge is very, very clean. So altogether, the composition, the fibers, the dyeing, of course, we apply the most basic finishing possible in order to save energy and water again, and there you go. We created the ReGen, and the ReGen compared, so this is a very interesting comparison. Those two pair of jeans are different pair of jeans, but we want them to look alike, same. The one to the right, my right, it's made with the ReGen fabric. The one to the left is made with a very conventional fabric, which we still make at Candiani. And the idea was, all right, let's get to the same look, to the same aesthetics, and let's take in consideration every single detail, every single saving we achieved by creating this new fabric with our own waste and with Refibra. So in terms of fibers, there's no fresh cotton, and you know, I'm not very much against cotton, but again, if you manage to create something with the cotton you waste, why not? So, as you know, the industry now is attacking cotton probably a little too much because it's saying, well, the most amount of water goes into the cotton fields and the crop requires this, and that. Yes and no. I mean, not all the cotton of the world has been artificially irrigated, and if it is artificially irrigated, it depends the way you do it. A lot of cotton is rain-fed, so it grows because it rains. So we have to be very careful there, but as a matter of fact, we're not including that segment of water consumption because we didn't use any fresh cotton. In terms of chemicals, the fact that these kind of yarns were very, very compatible with the Ketotex and the indigo juice technologies made us save a very consistent amount of water and chemicals both. And again, when we brought these garments to the design center, so where we create looks, images, styling, let's say, on our fabrics in jeans form, well, the reaction of this fabric to laser and ozone, which are considered the most sustainable technologies in our industry when it comes to laundry and treatments, well, it took way, way less water and chemicals to wash this down at the same level of the other guy, and also a few steps less, which makes it more interesting in terms of productivity and also energy savings. All right, so briefly, this is a very simple description of the ReGen, just to visualize it, again, in a very, very simple way.
Did you know the gene-making process is extremely water-intensive? On average, it takes almost 3,000 liters of water to make just one pair of jeans. Luckily, Candiani has developed a water-friendly alternative, the ReGen. The ReGen is Candiani's innovative 80th anniversary fabric. Its composition is 50% Tencel lyocell with Refimbra technology and 50% recycled cotton, which means no new cotton is used to make this denim. Just think of all the water we can save with this fabric. We've also made a stretch version of the ReGen called Relast, made with Roika, the world's first premium recycled elastane. The ReGen's ingredients aren't the only factor that make it special. We dye the indigo with our cutting-edge technology, Indigo Juice, which keeps the indigo superficial on the yarn, making it incredibly easy to wash it down in the laundry. Then we fix the dye on the yarn using Ketotex, a patented technology that uses ketazan, derived from recycled shrimp shells or elements found in nature. Thanks to the combination of these technologies, Candiani saves up to 75% of water and 65% of chemicals for each pair of jeans made with this fabric. And that's why we are the greenest mill in the blue world.
The purpose when it comes to denim and denim is a very different animal compared to the rest of the textile because it requires a lot of products and intermediate products to be made. The most sustainable principle is not to create waste, obviously, and that relates to efficiency. But if you create waste, make sure you can reuse it. So in our case, 50% goes to insulation panels, and 50% now goes to the ReGen fabric. So the idea is to sell out of our waste, and I believe this year we will finally get to that number. So we are very, very happy about this innovation, and we're very, very happy we won this award. So thank you very much again.
Questions, our speaker?
Good morning. I'm in touch with somebody who is recycling denim in I think in India, but the company is in the US, and he's always complaining that denim with lycra is really a pain. The lycra you use, or the elastan, is this easier to recycle, or is that also very, very difficult? Thank you.
That's a very interesting question, because we focus and we specialize on post-industrial waste, so we don't have to face that issue because that issue is not faceable yet. There are interesting projects to, now we're talking about post-consumer recycling technologies. There are now interesting ways of extruding the lycra from the cotton, but it's a lab stage. I haven't seen anything which seems to be industrially scalable quite yet. And even in that case, once you get rid of the lycra, then the cotton left has to be processed like Refibra was to get a new cellulosic fiber. So it's not, you can't really get that cotton and just shred it again and try to get a fiber which is spinnable once again. But that's a big challenge. I mean, I didn't really have time to go around too much. I don't know if ITMA is presenting something about this, but that's what we are looking for. That's one of the most interesting innovations for the future.
Okay, thank you. One additional question then. I hear you do also consultancy. Is it really necessary nowadays to have jeans with lycra? I always think a jeans with lycra is to cover fitting problems. That's my personal experience, and there are better solutions to make a jeans fit instead of mixing in elastan. Is there anything which you hear from jeans manufacturers that they go this road, or what kind of feedback do you get? Is the demand for denim with elastan rising or dropping? Now new technologies are coming up in making a jeans better fit.
So the trend lately went to more rigid fabrics, so 100% cotton, but that's a trend and it's very much related to fashion. We still produce over 85% of our denim with stretch, but after this process. And again, in the video, you saw that we are enclosing a GRS-certified elastomer in there, developed with Roika in Germany, just to be consistent with the concept of ReGen. But now, we're looking at different kind of elastomers. So I think the demand will always be there for stretched denim, and we can improve the quality of the elastomer, starting with the quality of the polymer, starting with the re-engineering. We are now looking at a biosynthetic era approaching denim, and we're now looking at biodegradable elastomers. So I'm not necessarily against elastomers. We're actually researching a lot into this world, and I believe there's a way to tweak it. I really believe we found a way to tweak it, but that's going to be the next innovation we launch in the next few years.